I never imagined that one simple decision would unravel my entire world. But here I am trying to make sense of it all, questioning everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and boundaries. It all started with a conversation, one I thought was just a quirky suggestion, something innocent. But in hindsight, I should have known better. It began one night, after we had finished dinner and were sitting on the couch, sipping our wine. The evening was calm, just the two of us, as it usually was. That's when my wife, Emily, looked at me with a mischievous grin and said, "I've been thinking about something, Ben." I smiled, thinking it was going to be another one of her playful ideas. "What's that?" I asked, half expecting her to suggest something lighthearted, like a new hobby or a vacation spot. "I think we should try something a little different," she continued. "Something exciting." I raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" She paused for a moment, as if considering how to phrase it. "You know how close I am with my twin sisters, right?" I nodded, not sure where this was going. Emily and her sisters, Lily and Claire, were incredibly close. They shared everything, secrets, memories, and sometimes even the same wardrobe. "Well," she began, "I was thinking, why don't we have a little fun? What if Lily and Claire pretended to be me for one night? They look so much alike anyway, and I thought it could spice things up. Just a harmless role play." I froze for a moment, unsure of how to respond. "Wait, you want them to pretend to be you?" She smiled, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Yes, I trust you, Ben, and I trust them. It could be fun." Just for one night, I didn't know what to say. On the surface, it seemed like an innocent fantasy, but deep down, I felt uneasy. It wasn't the idea itself, it was the uncertainty. I didn't know where the line was anymore. After a long pause, I chuckled nervously. "You're serious, huh?" "Of course," she said. "It's just a game." Nothing more than that. I didn't want to upset her. Emily was the love of my life, and she had always been open-minded and adventurous. So, against my better judgment, I agreed. "All right, if you really want to, I'll go along with it." That night, everything changed. Lily and Claire arrived at our place a few hours later, both of them dressed similarly, with the same dark hair, the same playful energy, and the same mischievous grins. I could barely tell the difference between them. Emily wasn't home yet, so the two sisters stayed in the living room, laughing and joking around with me. I felt awkward. Every time I glanced at them, I was reminded of how close they were to Emily, how they shared everything, including this strange fantasy that I had unwittingly agreed to. But as the night wore on, I could feel the tension building, the line between reality and fantasy blurring in ways I hadn't expected. When Emily arrived, she didn't waste any time. She walked in with a confident smile, looking at me with that familiar, playful glint in her eyes. And then, without a word, she and Lily switched places. Emily went upstairs, and Lily, dressed exactly like her, sat next to me on the couch. It felt surreal. My mind kept telling me that it wasn't really her, but the physical resemblance was so striking. She even moved like Emily. It was uncanny. I felt like I was living in a dream I couldn't wake up from. At first, it felt like a joke, something harmless. We watched TV, talked about our day, and even laughed about how strange it felt. But as the night progressed, things started to shift. Lily, pretending to be Emily, started touching me in ways that felt too real. At first, it was subtle, her hand on my knee, her fingers brushing mine. But then, as the night deepened, her touches grew bolder, more intimate. I froze, unsure of how to react. This wasn't part of the plan. This wasn't supposed to happen. But there I was, caught between my wife's suggestion and my own hesitation. Was this still just a game, or had we crossed a line? Then, just as things were escalating, Emily came back downstairs. She didn't look surprised. She had obviously planned this all along. She smiled, looking at me with an expression I couldn't quite place. "I thought you two were having fun," she said, her voice playful but edged with something I couldn't identify. And then it hit me. This wasn't just about a harmless role play. Emily was watching. She was enjoying seeing me react to her sisters in a way she hadn't expected. It wasn't about trust anymore. It was about control. The room felt suffocating. My mind raced as I realized how deep we had gotten into this. What started as an innocent suggestion had spiraled into something I wasn't prepared for. Emily wasn't just watching, she was orchestrating it. The next morning, things were awkward. We didn't talk about what had happened. I tried to act like nothing was wrong, but the weight of it all lingered in the air between us. It wasn't just the physical act that had bothered me, it was the emotional manipulation. The fantasy that was supposed to bring us closer had driven a wedge between us. I confronted Emily later that week. "You took it too far," I told her. "It wasn't just a game anymore. It was too real." She looked at me, her expression unreadable. "I thought you would enjoy it," she said softly. I didn't think it would make you uncomfortable. I didn't know what to say. The truth was, I had never expected to feel so confused, so lost. The night had gone way beyond what I had signed up for. It was no longer about fun or excitement. It was about crossing boundaries we couldn't take back. I don't think we're ready for something like that, I said, my voice shaking with frustration. I need to trust you, Emily. And I need to feel like I'm enough for you, without you pushing me into something I'm not comfortable with. She didn't reply at first, but when she finally spoke, her voice was softer. I'm sorry, Ben. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just thought we needed something different, but I see now that I've taken it too far. The apology wasn't enough to fix what had happened. We spent the next few months reevaluating our relationship. The trust had been shattered, and no matter how much we tried to fix it, the damage remained. I thought I knew Emily, but after that night, I realized we had both been searching for something we didn't know how to find, or worse, something we didn't know we needed. In the end, that night with her sisters wasn't just about an experiment. It was a turning point in our relationship, a moment where everything shifted and neither of us could go back. The line we crossed could never be uncrossed, and as we tried to rebuild, I realized that some boundaries, once crossed, can never return to their original place.